uh, after discussing the hardware resources, we have to shift towards some of our software resources need for internet connection. So we have three things in this lecture we will discuss. The first is World Wide Web, the second is the network addressing and domain name addressing, and the third one is URL and web browsers. So discussing the first of all World Wide Web, www is just an information space where the documents and the other resources are identified by the Universal Resource Locator URL. So there is one of a misunderstanding between the internet and World Wide Web. Internet is a collection of networks together, so that becomes the internet, but the World Wide Web is a collection of electronics documents. So all the electronics documents are hosted on one particular device, which is one of a server. So they both have different ideas. So the internet is the collection of networks together, and your World Wide Web is just a collection of electronics documents. So after discussing the World Wide Web, we need one of a special software which is called a browser software to access the web pages of a web server. So we have a lot of example nowadays. We are using the Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer according to our need. So we have a lot of option, and this is basically a client level application installed at your home offices, and we are accessing the services of a server which are hosted at one particular geographical area. So that becomes one of a client server architecture of a web, and that is a very famous architecture. The same thing is happening which I discussed earlier. A web is a collection of files, and with the help of a client as a browser software, we are accessing the services of a server. So web browser is basically a software that run on the computer to make it work as a web client. So we are acting as a clients, and if we install the browser software, so that becomes a web client. And if you are accessing the resources of the one particular website, for example NTO-EDU-PK, you are accessing the NTO-EDU-PK resources, so it means you are accessing the resources of your server with the help of a client software. And this is one of a pictorial representation how a client server architecture works. We have a lot of clients available, we see here, and all the clients are connecting with the internet, and inside the internet basically the server are hosted. So server is not an integrated part here. Server is not a separate part here, it's an integrated part inside the internet. So we are as a registered user, and how we becomes a registered user, we need one of our browser software, and these browsers allow us to access the services of a server. Okay, then we move towards one of our language that is a hypertext markup language used to build the web pages, and all the web pages you see they build with the help of this type of coding, which is just a word processing software like coding. This is a very simple text available, but in front of us we have a very good graphical user interface comes, but behind that that is the documented form or language used for developing the web pages, and that is one of our accepted standard worldwide. That means if I want to build a web pages, so I have to go towards this type of formatting, but I have to write the documentation in that way, and that is one of HTML format, and this is a standard use language to build the web pages. And inside the HTML, what happens, they use the special codes and tags to build a relationship between the documents and the text version and the picture versions For example, if we use the codes so like this way, B stands for bold, so I want to bold a review of a book text, so I use these codes, and inside whatever I write, it's appear in a bold way. So that is a result of this thing. And similarly, if I write inside the italic version, so I have come at this type of output. So this is a one way of build the HTML language, and this is a one of example. If you right click your NTU web page, so you see this type of a source coding available, and it's just like a plain text document, but in front of us it looks like a very good website. We have a lot of pictures, a lot of videos, animated pictures available. So it's totally different. What is looking in front of us is totally different on the behind end. So basically we are building the web pages by using the HTML language. So after discussing the building of our web pages, again moves towards different terminology used to work with the World Wide Web. So web pages are the electronics documentation. So if you open one of our web page of any website, so basically you are opening the electronic document, and if you combine the web pages together, so that becomes one of your website. So a website is a collection of web pages, and web pages are the electronics documents, and these websites are hosted on one of a physical server, and that server is basically a web server that deliver the requested web pages. And these are the some of example of a web browser. We have Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome working nowadays, and they are very famous. So we have again this is one of internet browsers share in a market. Google take the 63% of a share, and the remaining 17% is held by Yahoo. And you have other resources also available for browser software. So basically Google's take the dominant role. It's provide us a 63% of sharing resources. Mean the user working on internet is they go for more of the user go towards Google. They prefer the Google instead of other search engine. There's a very simple logic behind that. If you open the Google web page, it's very simple. It's loaded itself very fastly, so we don't need to wait a lot to opening that page. And that is the reason they target the mentality of humans. Humans need a faster response, so that is the reason Google go in that way. They prefer they build a very simple web page. Just a single browser is available, bar is available, and you just write anything for search purposes. So Google is taking the 63% of the market. So we have a lot of different websites. We have a news website, we have a Wikipedia, blogs, online social networking is available, then we have a personal website also, we have an entertainment website also available. So these are some of the example. Now we have to go towards the publishing of a website. The first, we have a 5 phases in publishing of a website. So first phase is a plan a website. First of all, you have to target your audience. So what type of audience you are planning to build a website. So that is a very important thing. If for example, if I'm developing this video, so the purpose is that to target the students. So that is the same thing behind the web development. So it's we have to go towards the audience first. We have to look for the audience, what type of audience we need for the web publishing. So the second phase is after defining the audience. The second phase is analyzing and designing of a website. So you target the audience, so you have to read the mindset of audience, what your audience wants, and then you can build the web page according to your audience. And then we have to create the website with the help of any developer, and deploy a website on one of a physical server. That is your step 4. This is a deployment phase, and then you have to maintain your website, and that is a maintenance phase. It means your you have to update your website on a daily basis. For that reason, we have to maintain the websites. So the web page is use the one of special resource to identify our web pages. So URL is a uniform resource locator, or a web address. Sometimes it's also called a web address. So it's basically consisting of 4 parts. We have a protocol here, domain name, path, and the path of your particular file. So we will discuss these things one by one. So before moving towards the URL components, we have a protocol, domain name, addressing, paths, and a web page. We have to know a little bit about the IP addresses first. So every server on the internet have a unique identification. It's just like the same if you are sitting at your home and working on your system, so you have a separate IP address, separate IP addresses. And similarly, some of our examples are, we have IP address 165.113.245.2. okay, wait a minute, I have to check is it working fine. Okay, fine. Okay, coming back towards here, so it's a unique identification. It means every server has a unique identification, and this is a machine level learning. It means every machine needs one of our identification, and that is the identification for a machine. But it's very hard for the human to understand this thing, because if you want to access the one of a web page of a Google, so you just write a google.com.pk. we don't write this type these type of a number. So that is the thing, we need one of a interpreter type of idea here. Your IP address is converted into a domain name address. Basically this is one of your domain name address, and behind every IP address you have a unique domain name address. Google.com is a unique, and behind the google.com you have a unique IP addresses. And similarly, edu.pk is a unique domain name, and behind these unique domain name you have a unique IP addresses. So why we need two types of a different addressing for a same purpose? Is the answer is very simple. The machines are working on numbers, and they are very good when they are dealing with the numbers, but if you comes at a human level, so humans are very good to deal with the domain name addressing. Now moving towards URL components. The first component, basically we have 4 components when discussing the URL. So first is a protocol, and that is a transfer protocol for transfer the file from one computer to other computer. You see the one of a HTTP hypertext transfer protocol in each website URL. So basically it's one of a protocol which tells the client how file is going to be moved from your computer towards a targeted server. And then you have one of your domain name addressing. That is the thing which I discussed earlier. It's just a text-based version of the IP addresses, and it's just used for to identify one of a particular machine. And then you have a path name or folder. This is one of a folder you are accessing, and then you have a name of a file available, and you have one example here. So look at this thing, you have a protocol here, HTTP hypertext transfer protocol. This is one of a protocol. Then you have a domain name addressing here. www is collection of electronics pages. And what type of pages is here? The NDU is one of our organization who is hosting the electronics pages on a World Wide Web. So you have a domain name addressing here, NDU edu pk, and then you have one of a directory or a folder inside the NDU website, and inside the folder you have a path for your file. So that is one of our understanding idea about our URL. So this is the same idea I discussed earlier. HTTP is a hypertext transfer protocol, www is a site maintainer, and Google is a web server or a site maintainer. www is a site on the World Wide Web. It's electronics pages, and Google is creating the electronics pages on a www, and pk is representing some of a geographical location of the server. Basically this idea is very good when dealing with when we want to identify the location of a hosted server. So HTTP is one of a set of rules, and these set of rules are defining the movement of files from one computer towards the another computer when you are working on the internet. So this is one of a protocol. So this is a very common protocol nowadays, and each website you are looking working with, you see the HTTP is one of a protocol used by every website. And but we have other protocols also. We have a file transfer protocols also available. Then you have a telnet protocol is also available. This is these two protocols mostly used for networking purposes. So for a web purposes, transfer of filing from one whole client towards the other server, so we prefer the HTTP protocol. And then you have some top level domain, and if we're talking about the domain, so you see one of hierarchical order associated with your domains here. So you have, if you have a .com, it means that it's a commercial website. .edu, it means it's one of your education institute, just like the NDU. And then you have a gov, .net, .org, and similarly if you see these type of country codes at the end, .ca, so it's mean the site maintainer is inside the Canada, or a server is going to be hosted inside a Canada. If you have a .pk at the end, so it means the server is hosted inside the Pakistan. So this is all about the domain name addressing. So thank you.